It's a visit with a person of high strangeness. We still wearing masks. This is October of 21. And I'm going to take it off so you can understand what I'm saying. I realize I have an accent, and there's a lot of big words in these things this time here. For those of you that has never watched the prediction shows, normally my program is politically and religiously neutral, except for the prediction shows, because I don't know what I'm going to run into. And so I would like to tell you this ahead of time. Also, I have been coughing since 1994, but I had a procedure in my throat a couple of days ago, so chances are I'll cough more than usual, so don't worry. It's just my normal here. And the way I'm going to do this, usually I do a workup ahead of time, like a few weeks ahead of time, so I can get a clear picture. And I have also asked several of my friends to make some predictions. Normally I have one, but this year I have three because it's somewhat important, and I kind of wanted to double check what it is that I had. And they went at it from a different point of view, each one of them. So here, this is what I have. There is an end to the crisis in America, the crisis. The jobs will reemerge. The summer is going to be similar to that of 21, but more intense. So I'm assuming it's going to get hotter. Most jobs will come from corporation, and small businesses is going to have a problem with being able to employ people because everything is so corporation and money oriented. So there are very few small business opportunities. The mess with the post office is continue. I don't know if there's going to be changes made in the personnel or if it's just being reevaluated to see how they can put it back to where we had it. Bullying of our country is going to take place by other countries, but don't be too concerned because it's mostly verbal. Marijuana will be legalized, I think, in almost every state, and some of the drug laws relaxed. The American opinion, people is going to pay more attention to it momentarily, and then it goes back to the way it is now because everything revolves around money. We have to give up something to get something, and compromises are necessary. DACA, I don't think that's going to be brought to, the circle isn't going to be, what am I saying? It's not going to be finished all the way, but some small positive changes will be made for the DACA people. There's a lot of disillusion of the young people regarding military service. So I'm hoping they're not thinking about the draft again. And it's slowly getting along. Compared to 2021, we are starting to get a little more loving. Last 3 or 4 years, I've had comments from Lokesh Kumar Singh. He's an astrologer, an entertainer in India that has been sending us predictions, and he also makes sure it airs in India. And so this year we're going to do it a little different because we're actually going to show you what the friends look like. So at this point, I think my director is going to show you what Lokesh looks like. He is on my Facebook, and so you can get a hold of him. He's an excellent astrologer. And he said the following: it's going to be an anti-pollution year, 2022. All country treaties for pollution control and global warming Some clear decisions after a meeting in a small and beautiful country. Some new medicine for multiviral diseases. Economic downfalls of pretty much all superpowers. In some countries, the smaller countries, is going to be the game changer. I'm going to have to change my glasses so I can see what I'm looking at. Okay, this was from Locash. Next one is a new friend. He's new to you. His name is Edward Hark, and that's what he looks like. He lives in Florida. Now, he uses a lot of big words, and there's a couple of them I cannot pronounce, so please bear with me. Yeah, I'll put my own thoughts at the end of this. I'll just read what he said and then go back to it and make a comment on this. I've received numerous messages about advances in research on shared consciousness, as described like a movie Inception. A thought can be planted as a seed into the mind of another person while they are in a dream state or while awakened but in an altered state. There will be more research about ways to access the thoughts within a shared consciousness that spans an infinite number of dimensions. Interdimensional travel, as opposed to space travel, by way of directing consciousness into the black holes. Frequent visible visits to Earth by aliens. Many of them will appear to be fireballs. Aliens will also use interdimensional travel to energize or materialize to transport themselves around out of thin air. This is the word. Polyamory. Polyamory. Will become more accepted and commonplace. Discussions of future legislature concerning, there's that word again, will take place. I'm sorry, I just can't pronounce that word. But I think what it means is more than one person involved. The general population will accept COVID as an endemic, and people will develop more tolerance to it. The first successful HIV vaccine will come along. Increase anti-trans rhetoric and legislation. Christianity reaches a fever pitch and gears up for another holy war. Extraterrestrial activities will intensify with the increased intensity of religious strife. People who don't identify with Christianity will be more likely to side with the aliens, and the aliens will offer them a safe place to go. The aliens give the humans the opportunity to be raptured up to a safe holding dimension while the bad humans are eliminated, after which the displaced humans will be returned to Earth to rehabilitate it. There will be a debate about whether angels and aliens are the same thing. Researchers will realize a connection between bottling water and seismic volcanic activity. Too much water bottled is displacing the layer and plates of the Earth, and the water cycle is disrupted due to less available water to flow and evaporate. Governments will decree use of already bottled water, and then future access to water will become more controlled to prevent water shortages and widespread devastating earthquakes. Now, if you substitute the word alien with extraterrestrial, like I sometimes explain to you, anything originating on Earth is terrestrial, and everything not originating here, that would include angels and guides, whatever you want to call them, would be extraterrestrial. So you can substitute that word if that is not something you're familiar with. And as far as the water, about 20-some years ago, we did a show on fracking, and Dr. Gilbert Jordan was on that show, and he explained why there are so many earthquakes in the fracking areas, because they take things out of the ground and don't replace it with anything. And that's what is the main cause of those earthquakes that the people have in those fracking areas. So that's that. The next person is my first cousin. Her name is Becky, and that's what Becky looks like. And doesn't she have a beautiful smile? Why? And she says, "Thanks, Lilian, for inviting me to join you here. My name is Becky. I'm Lilian's cousin. I'm going to share a few of my predictions for the upcoming months. I will say I'm coming out of retirement, and I may be a tad rusty. I think we will have to return. We will have a return of nasty weather this winter. Maybe not the huge snowfalls, but very wet and windy. Get ready for bitter cold. It doesn't sound different from our usual winters, but the bitter cold will be devastating. My dogs have already put on their winter coats." This was back in September. "Supplies will be in short demand. Don't hoard, but stock up on necessities. COVID-19 is slightly winding down. It's not going away, just letting up a bit. I think we will have to be careful for another 18 months. Politics are still going to be nasty. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't see the electric vehicles taken off like they wanted them to. It's going to take a while longer to get the people on board. I think there will be a huge surprise in this Jeffrey Epstein scandal. There will be people caught up in it, what will totally blow your mind. That's all I've got this morning, and thank you for listening. Love you. Remember, be kind and spray and neuter your pets." That's that. I'm really doing the best, and they really move things around in here. So let's go see what we got here. For those of you that don't know what I'm getting ready to do, I go ahead in time and take a look and look for potential problems. That means once you're aware of what's coming, you can make better decisions or different decisions. You can work around it, you can go with the flow, or by the time you recognize it, maybe you already had to have the answer how to fix it and how to how to make it easier for you, because some things are predestined. They're going to happen either way, but you can buffer the blow. And it's not a question of being right and wrong. So don't call me and say, "But you were so right." If it's a bad thing, don't tell me I'm right. Just change it, and then you can call me and say, "Gee, was you wrong?" And that's what I would like for you to do. In November, I told you I was going to throw away this piece of scarf my mother gave me for my cards, but I couldn't part with them. I didn't have the heart to do that. So here it is again. Look at that. I just can't part with it, so we just keep using it. I want to make the country female. The reason I want to make it female, because males think logical and females think out of the box a little bit. Let me see if I can find one. I found one. Actually, that was the card I used for Hillary Clinton a few years ago. We know how that came out. There you go. Also, last time in November, I also told you I didn't know could I continue doing these shows. We've been playing reruns from 20 years ago. But what happens is everything we play now is like it's the news. Everything is current issues. So has nobody objected about seeing the old shows? And so I appreciate that, because I just can't do what I used to. And my health is not cooperating. So, female country. This is almost like a private joke in my head. The first thing that came up was an immature male. A while ago, I was trying to decide what should I make the country, and it was an immature male. So I guess I have to get rid of the female and use that one. So we're going to make the country an immature male. That's funny, it really is. Job situation. Not too many changes. Personally, I don't understand it, because there's so many jobs out there. And but don't be looking for a lot of changes. I would say in the next 7-8 months, probably beginning of summer. The pay raises and bonuses that's being offered really makes no difference, because the prices are going to continue to go upward. So you're not really ahead. It's almost like the more money you get, the more you go in a hole for some reason. We need to be more understanding towards each other. And I think it's going to be at least 4 or 5 months before we can kind of straighten out our line of thinking as far as doing this pandemic and doing this political turmoil of the last few years, where we're so divided, where we actually need to start communicating with our friends again. Just because we're not of the same persuasion doesn't mean we can't get along and do things for each other again, because we really need to start thinking one way instead of going in circles all the time. That's not going to help us at all. There will be changes in top of the government, some rotations. It's almost like some of the jobs will be reassigned. They will take a person out of this position and stick him over here, him or her. I don't know what I'm looking at, but there's rotations. I think this is in America, but then it could be global too. But the leadership is going to be rotating some kind of way, and I don't know how. More and more people are going to find a need to downsize in their living, in their housing, in their living. They have so many places have these laws about motorhomes and campers and things, and I think we're kind of going overboard a little bit, assuming that part of the population is really not acceptable to some of us. But the way it looks, more and more people cannot afford regular housing. And I remember firsthand years ago when I used to travel and go on the road in an RV, and Greenville, Illinois actually had what they call a gypsy law, where they excuse me, talk too much, But they always want to put me in jail because I was in a motorhome. And so eventually it went to court, and the Ninth Circuit removed that gypsy law that they had. But as we downsize in the housing, people need a place to go or to park because everything is so unaffordable that see a lot of homeless people, and it's all about money. It's like the whole world is about money at the moment. There's less pregnancies next year. And check your houses for structural damage. Maybe not physical damage where something is falling apart, but check for mildew and things that's caused by weather so you don't get ill. Lots of families are breaking up, even though the ones that were sticking together during the COVID, we didn't have a choice. But when things get better and as people relax, I think they have rearranged their thinking and want to go solo. So I think the divorce rate is going to go way up in 22. Yeah. Things are pretty predestined, actually. What that means, predestined is something that's going to happen regardless. It just depends how you want to handle it as it happens. Legal battles, a lot of legal battles. A lot of water down the money down the drain, water. A lot of money is, taxpayer money is going to be wasted on frivolous lawsuits. Marijuana is going to be legalized, I think, pretty much everywhere. Some resistance from some of the part of the population. Huh? I don't know how this is going to work, but I think it's Prince Andrew from England. He's not an American citizen, so I don't think he is allowed to run for politics officially. But some kind of way he's right in the middle of something. I don't know how to explain that. To the best of my knowledge, as a non-citizen, he wouldn't be able to run for office, I don't think. I could be wrong, but he's all in the middle of everything. I don't know how that works. And it says there's a caution, you know, kind of keep an eye on that so it doesn't get out of hand. More people will travel by train, if all possible, but there is a need to keep an eye on the train infrastructure. I think I had that last year too. Can't remember. Go within and see where you are. Go within and see where you stand in your line of thinking, because so many falsehood is like people keep telling you this is false and this is fake. Let me tell you a little story here. I use my Facebook for informational purposes, and mainly I post things that the people that don't have time to watch the news so they can have a water cooler conversation. And I was requested to do that by some friends in California about 12 years ago, so I've been doing it ever since. And so as a result of that, many of the Facebook friends that's on the ground, something happens and they film it and they send it, then I post it. And I would say within the last 3 or 4 months, Facebook will put a thing over it and says fake, fake, fake. It's not fake. So number one, I think it's being monitored. And number two, maybe some of it is fake because I know where I get my information. So be more cautious with what you say and don't exaggerate if you can help it. But don't believe everything that you hear, okay? Go within and see if it rings true or not. God, I sound like a preacher today. I don't think I like that too much. Anyway, we got to give up something to get something. We can have physical issues as a fallout. Ooh. Well, side effects of medication, how's that? I'm gonna put it that way. Yeah. And watch your children. Watch your children. I think they... Watch your children. So if they have physical complaints, don't send them to school just because you think they need to play with their friends or they need education or whatever. If they say, I don't feel good, they don't feel good, please listen to your children. Make an exception at this juncture here. You have to listen to your children, okay? I can put a time frame on this. Most of that, I would think, will start in March, April, early springtime. Yeah, and use your own judgment on that. Divorces will increase. Did I say this already? Post office has no changes. I think I said that already too. Either way, we're going to come out okay, I think. More facilities for mentally... What is it, mentally ill? No. People that have mental issues because we've been locked up and, with the COVID thing and we have problems and everybody's taking pills for depression and sleep, and of course you're going to have a fallout from that, and then people don't know where to go. And so I would think that there is a need to either build or accommodate, to provide space and places for people that just can't deal with the world right now. So that would be really, really helpful. And don't be so judgmental. When you see a person that's a little turned around at the moment, I think we're all a little turned around at the moment, and think we okay according to our specification. And sometimes that's not really what it is. Death rate's going to climb. I don't know if that has to do with COVID or if, well, we have a lot of old people too, so our time is up. My generation, we kind of leaving. So I don't know if that accounts for the death rate increasing or if something else is coming. I can't determine that. But 22 is going to have a lot of funerals. The anxiety over money is not going to get better because as money comes in, the prices rise. And instead of being ahead, you're going in the hole, and a lot of people is not going to have what they need. I mean, basic necessities. So a lot of anxiety about money. I'm going to stick to that. Travel is getting more complicated. Loan companies, loan, if you have an outstanding loan, I think loan companies is going to be more aggressive in their collection process. I don't think they're going to loan money as freely as they did. I think I'm not going to say they're hurting. I think are they hurting? Are they greedy? But I don't know. But some kind of way there's changes in the way loan companies either do business or do things the way they were used to. So if you want to make a loan, don't feel bad if they say no. I think they're changing things at loan companies, and I'm assuming that goes for banks. Back to what Edward Hawke said in the beginning, what I read to you. There is going to be a lot of activity that normal people can't explain. Now, I do know that the disclosure was put in place last year, where if you're interested, where you get more information as to the Space Force and extraterrestrial, off-planet type activity. So more and more countries are openly speaking about that. And because people have an awareness, and many have changed their mind, not thinking, people are hallucinating and they're crazy. So they have changed their way of looking at things. And according to what I'm looking at here, I think that there's a lot more activity, open activity of things around us than normal. Now, so people like myself, to us it's pretty normal, but to those that are just now starting to understand that, it'll buffer the blow a little bit, because there is no reason for fear. I was talking to someone that knows William Shatner and Captain Kirk, for some of you. And the person told me that he had seen him since he's been back from space, and that it almost feels like he's a different person. Is even though he on TV he went to every planet that we could think about as Captain Kirk. When he went to space for 3 minutes in real life, it was such a life-changing experience that this person I was talking to thought it was so profound that it changed him in 3 minutes. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. You think you have all the answers and it's all science fiction, and all of a sudden you realize the enormity of what's really going on. So I think there's a lot more activity coming along, and so I have to agree with Edward here. There's going to be groups of people that's trying to preserve ancient languages. I don't know what I mean by ancient. It could also be tribal. Maybe it has to do with tribes where some of the languages would get lost because they're not being used anymore, where somebody is trying to preserve the language so they can pass it on or at least where we can find it at a later time. That's going to be really successful. Let's see here. Immature decisions, that's what we started off with. A lot of immature decisions, I can't explain that. The price of wine, the price of wine is gonna rise, so switch to tequila, will you? I mean, well, actually, it was so hot in Washington State. Some of the grapes in the field got cooked while they were still on the stalk. So, but get ready for wine prices, and anything with wine, connected to wine, is going to get a lot more expensive. Lumber. Huh. I don't know what that is. I don't know if they put pesticides on lumber or some kind of spray on lumber. There is an issue with. There is an issue with things that they treat lumber with. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means, but I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put that over here, okay? Gasoline is not going to get cheaper, so people find other means, especially during the summer, find other means of entertainment. I don't think we're going to be in quarantine by that time where we can actually freely move around, but we're not going to make our dream vacations because they're more local, because here again the money, everything, no matter what it is, I don't care what I talk about here, it's all connected to money. So I think as people trying to recover, they just still counting their money. Big arguments in court about the drug laws. Changes about the drug laws. And I don't know if they're going to allocate money for treatment for people instead of putting them in prison, but a lot of things have to do with the drug laws that they either going to change or trying to change. But there's going to be a lot of opposition to this whole thing. June and July is going to be a little rough. A lot of social programs will be either changed or revised during that time period, so June and July. I don't know if that has to do with what's happening right now, where they're trying to put that new budget and new stimulus package in place. And I don't know what the fine print is, but this is not psychic. Today I heard that they did remove the part where the IRS will go into your account and see what you spent your money on. So that's gone. So that's not what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Huh. I don't know what that means. So we'll just have to wait and see what it is. Here again, anxiety, mainly about money. And the ladies, but the ladies, they're going to have a change of mind instead of what's that word, vintage? Do you remember a few years ago, Seattle had, they called it grunge, where all of a sudden everybody was wearing weird clothes and they called it grunge, where everybody was wearing secondhand clothes, or at least it looked like it. I think something like that's going to come back because having Leo Vuitton and Christian Dior clothes is not going to be the big thing. It's economically, give me a word, frivolous. Is that a word? Can I ask somebody, is that a word? Would they spend less and still feel like it's fashionable? So here, men, get ready, your wife's going to spend less money. Maybe. That'll be interesting. So when that happens, call me. We'll see what we can come up with. I can't put a time period on any of this at all. Not at all. Excuse me. If you're coming from overseas into America, the currency, the rate, the exchange rate is going to be really, really good. So this would be a good time to change your money for dollars. Exchange rate, that's what that is. And then it repeats about the loan companies. None of this is set in stone, and by the time we do the update, which I'm sure we'll have to at one point, things will be straightened out. 22 is going to be easier, not better, but easier to deal with than 21 was. But it's not perfect, and you'll never go back to normal, so please adjust to your new normal here, okay, please. And medication is not going to get cheaper at all. It'll stay like it was before. It wouldn't surprise me if some of us couldn't even get medication from some of the outlets like Canada. Like sometimes I get medication from the Canadian pharmacies and things, that somebody wouldn't object to that, where we couldn't get our medicine anymore. And it's almost like the pharmaceutical companies feel like they won, like victorious. I think that's the word. And because of that, they feel empowered to get even nastier. That's what I'm trying to say, yeah. And you know, it's starting to go in circles. I think it's pretty much talked about everything that is going to tell me for today. I want to say something about the update for 22. There was a thing in there where I talked about, and we laughed about it, we talked about horses, COVID and horses and people, that there was a connection, and we couldn't figure out what was I looking at. Well, as it turned out, it was that medicine that the horse medicine that some of the people were taking, but it's no way on earth could we have sorted this out in a reading, because we didn't know what we was looking at. And this year's reading here is pretty much the same thing. It has so many subjects, but it could be this, it could be that, so don't hold me to a lot of things. You'll recognize it as it happens, and then you say, oh, I know what that is. And then we can fill in the blanks and the rest of the story, because sometimes I don't have a point of reference anymore. Used to be I could tell what season it was, and now as we speak, the earth has slowed down. It's running at In fact, I did see that today, where the scientists have actually verified that the Earth is rotating at a slower pace. So we can't tell time, we can't tell seasons. So a lot of things we cannot no longer detail, and only after we recognize what it is. So like next year, if it looks like that, then I know what it is. And I said, you remember last year, it was this and that, and it's going to happen again over here. So this was a complicated reading, because a lot of things I was looking at, I don't have a clue what it was. And that's just how it is. Now, I want to tell you a story. Over the last 12 weeks, I re-aired an old show of my granddaughter and me. Being on the road, we had went to Hollywood for some interviews and things. And it was a 12-week series, and the last 4 weeks that we played it, the show airs on a Tuesday. By Thursday or Friday, everywhere we had taken the viewer, something major happened. It was either a fire or a flood or something. And so it was almost prophetic, what we were looking at, even though we filmed that in 2007. And I almost didn't finish airing them because I got worried. Every time we look at something happened. But we all done with it. And the reason I'm saying that, I'm almost thinking that there is a repeat of some of the things from 7 and 8. Now, I know in 2009 we had these horrible ice storms where all the trees exploded, but there are some similarities before. There are similarities with things that we've seen before. And because of that, when we recognize it, we know what to do about it, except media is different, the phones are different, so we have to adjust to the times that we live in. But we have the answers, and we can fix things, if you will. And so just be patient. It's going to fall into place some kind of way. And I know when we ask for patience, when some people pray for and say, oh, God, Lord, give me patience. Be careful what you ask for, because if you ask for patience, that's what you're going to get. Patience, patience, and more patience. Ask for results. So you can put out there what it is you need, and some kind of way you can materialize it. Like universe hears you, and it'll materialize things for you. And some of us have found that it works really well here, especially in the last, I would say the last year, where conscious thinking has made a change in some things. So open your mind a little more and go within and see what it is that you know, per se. You know, not what you think, is what you know. And stick with that, because when we come out on the other end of this mess that we're in at the moment, looking back, we can be really proud of ourselves and say, well, boy, that was close, but we made it, you know, and give people a helping hand and be more loving. Now I'm gonna pull one and see what it says. That's funny. This is the card that I pull when I'm just aimlessly talking about something. I have no idea what I just said. And this is the card that comes up and it says, you stick with it, it's accurate. So there you go, you see? That's funny to me. Not ha-ha, but, you know, makes me feel good. So I guess even though I rambled on for about a good 10 minutes, I think it's probably accurate, and you'll recognize it when you see it. And now I want to tell you something about the closing. In 2007, 2007, we went on a trip. Ebony had been in the hospital. She had food poisoning from some food we ate in a restaurant. And she woke up one morning with her hair sticking up, and we wasn't dressed up or anything like that. We were just randomly talking. And she told me about a piece of paper that she found where I had asked her to write down something, and she did. And she found it, and it was on last week's show. And believe it or not, it's almost like this just happened a few days ago. So today I'm going to close with that because it's perfect. And here, from 2007 to 21, 22. And thank you, Chris Brewer, from the Spirit Chaser, to help me with that clip. And so next week, we're going to go back to regular programming, and you have a safe winter and spring. And if I'm still around in July or so, we'll do this again, okay? We are. I'll see you later. Now take a look at Ebony's experience while we was on the road. That's it. I think that's it. Is that it?
I just remembered. You had found this piece of paper and you asked me what it was.
Yeah, what is it?
Back when we were in Bridgeport a couple weeks ago, you were half asleep and you were talking out of the side of your face. And you told me to write it down so you wouldn't forget, and I found it.
I forgot it.
And it's so genius. I'm going to share it with you. A mammal block is total chaos, right? And the first crop circle of the year had bird eggs in it. And it was a simple crop circle, right? And you said, we are like the eggs. And the universe is the circle maker.
Wow.
And it's so chaotic that it creates the circle around us, but it's so delicate, it keeps us intact. So no matter what, we're going to be okay.
I said that?
You said that. It's on paper.
Wow.
Yeah. So no matter what, how chaotic it's going to be, we're going to be okay. Because we are the eggs that are intact.
I'm going to go to the car and find that T-shirt I bought.
Okay.
Remember that weird T-shirt I bought?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go find it. Look at this shirt I bought in Lancaster. It says, Chaos, Fear, and Disorder. My job is done here. I paid a whole $1 for it. That was a stupid shirt, or so I thought at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'll ever wear it. But I guess we needed it with us.
Still young, we'd like to thank you for all the fun you took us here. Take us down, and it's just because you really care where our journey goes. for all the fun. Take us here, and you take us there.